Let's make sure we're up and running here before we get started so I can see everybody. Hold on. How is everybody today on this lovely Monday? Okay, we're ready to go. If you are here, say hi, give me a wave, show me some hearts, do or say something to tell me you're there. You can always leave comments. Remember that there is a little bit of a delay. So if I don't answer you back right away, I apologize, but I will try and get to you. It's also hard to sometimes read, respond, and cook out at the same time. So today we are going to be making lemon blueberry ricotta pancakes and Dutch honey syrup. I figured this was a great time to look at some Mother's Day brunch recipes because Mother's Day is around the corner. Can you believe that? It's already May. It's absolutely insane how fast things are going these days. But it's almost time. So this is a great recipe for that if you're going to do it. I see a couple people on live. Guys, go ahead and tell us, hey, make sure we can see you. Anybody there? Give me a wave, give me a like, give me a something. Realizing my captions aren't working today, and I don't know why. That's kind of annoying, huh? Okay, we'll have to look at that later. Okay, so we're starting with Dutch honey syrup. So Dutch honey syrup is a homemade syrup. It's an alternative to maple syrup. If you don't like the taste of maple, which, hey Ashley, if you don't like the taste of maple, I don't have any advice for you because that's silly. But it is a homemade syrup. My family used to make it. It reminds me of summers in Colorado. I used to go up to Grand Lake to visit my aunt, and she would always make this syrup. It is not healthy at all. I'm not going to lie to you, but it is amazing. And it's not only amazing on pancakes and waffles and anything sweet for breakfast, it is also amazing on vanilla ice cream. Actually, any ice cream. I just really am bland with my ice creams, and I really like vanilla. We're going to start off with a half a cup, which is 1 stick of butter. I'm going to use salted butter. You can go with unsalted, but sweet and salty is totally my jam. So that's the way it works at my house. Get this thing fired up. I'm going to do my syrup first because I want it to cool slightly before I put it on my pancakes. And also, it takes a little while for all of the flavors to marry and melt. So we did half a cup of butter, and now we're going to move on to cream. I'm actually using half and half today because my store was out of cream. I know, isn't that crazy? I wasn't about to go to like 8 bajillion stores. It just wasn't on my agenda. You know what? I only have a 1 cover. We are still in the middle of a kitchen renovation, which is why I'm coming to you from my dining room that is only half wallpapered. But if you can see behind me, the plastic that was there last week is now gone. They're making progress. The painter's actually here today, so there probably will be less banging than you're used to. No sawing or banging. Okay, 1 cup of cream, and now we're going to do 1 cup of sugar. And I have all my ingredients over here on chairs because I ran out of table space with having to need my electric griddle out here too. And the last thing is just vanilla. You can also use any kind of flavor of extract you want. So you could do vanilla, like I said, or you could do almond, you could do peppermint, you could do raspberry, you could do coffee. They even have a butter, an imitation butter, if you like really just want intense butter flavor. Don't blame you, man, if that's what you're after. I only have a little bit of regular vanilla extract left, so this is real vanilla extract. What we're going to use, this is about a teaspoon. You could go a little bit more if you really want like a whoop-bow flavor. Go a little bit more. No one here will judge you. We don't have our overhead camera for you to be able to see this. When we get back into our kitchen, I promise you we will have the overhead camera back and ready to go. I'm going to see. Gonna crank up the heat here just for a second so that I can try and get the butter to melt. And it is coming together fast. And then I'm gonna set it aside on low. I did this last time. I put the heat down so low that I lost my burner. I lost my flame. I need something to put my spoon on. Give me 1 second here. Again, kitchen reno. I hate this. I'm producing so much trash, but man, I don't have any way to do dishes. And that's really rough. So we're using paper products every day. We've been producing a ton of trash. It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to very carefully move this hot flame over to the side while we start on making our pancake batter. So this is a special type of pancake batter, and it's special because the richness in it doesn't come from butter. It comes from ricotta cheese. It's almost like the consistency of a cannoli. It's smooth, it's rich, it's decadent, not overly sweet. These are a little bit more savory, which is why the super sweet Dutch honey syrup pairs so nicely with it. We are going to start by putting our dry ingredients together. Pancakes are relatively simple, but, and there's always a but, right? But you have to know how to do them right. And people overmix them all the time. They get tough pancakes or they burn their pancakes. There are a couple of really easy steps that you can use to make sure none of those things happen. So we'll talk about them today. First, we're going to put in flour. I'm going to make a half a batch today because, quite frankly, in the middle of the day, I do not need a full batch of pancakes. And this is what I'm having for lunch. I know, aren't you jealous? The first thing you're going to notice is I didn't put my measuring cup directly into my flour canister. I am spooning it in. One of the mistakes people make with pancakes or anything, any baked good that uses flour, is that they scoop the flour in and that packs it. Like, you know, when you see brown sugar and they say packed or loose, you don't want to pack down your flour. Your flour should be loose. If you pack it in, you're going to get more volume, more weight than what the recipe actually calls for. This is why a lot of European recipes call for these dry ingredients in weights instead of measurements because it gives us a more accurate measurement. And then we're going to use the back of a butter knife and skim it off the top. So it's light and it's fluffy, it's not packed in there. Too much flour will, of course, make your pancakes super dry. My captions aren't showing up today, guys, but what I do want you to do, tell me what your favorite flavor of pancake is in the comments. Tell me about favorite flavor of pancake. Okay, so next we're going with, I've got baking powder and baking soda in this recipe. Where's my baking soda? There we go. And I need a teaspoon for these. Let me see here. This is a half a teaspoon. Again, I'm like going with half of the stuff that I usually have in my kitchen. So every week it's a little bit makeshift. Okay, so I got a half a teaspoon of baking soda. I'm gonna check on my syrup over here and stir it together. The butter is melting quite nicely and the sugar is dissolving, which is exactly what we want. Oh, this makes me so excited. Dutch honey is my jam. It's not, if it gets cool, it's really thick like a maple syrup would be, but it's actually a little bit more watery, and I like that because it penetrates the pancakes better. And that is what we really want. I don't even need to use butter on these. Okay, next is baking powder. So the regular recipe would be 1 teaspoon of baking powder and 2 teaspoons of 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, but we're going halvesies on this one. So I used a half a teaspoon of soda, 1 teaspoon of powder. The full recipe is available for you online. It's in the description. You can go ahead and print it out. Okay, next we need salt. I used a fine salt for this one, but I only have coarse kosher out. So I'm actually going to do a little bit more than what it calls for because coarse granules of kosher salt aren't as salty as a fine sea salt. And you know that I always recommend using a sea salt instead of an iodized salt. Iodized salt has been processed, will have a little bit of a metallic aftertaste if you're not too careful. Okay, so I used a little bit more there. It usually calls for about a half a teaspoon of fine sea salt. And then I'm going to do a little bit of sugar. I don't do too much. Again, this isn't a super sweet pancake, and I've got so much sweetness coming in from the Dutch honey syrup that I really want to maximize the flavors from the lemons and the blueberries. Okay, we've got all of our dry ingredients. I'm going to whisk these together. This is the part people also skip, is doing the dry ingredients and the wet ingredients. They're like, it's all going to go to the same place. Why do I need to make 2 mixing bowls? Well, one of the things that happens is overmixing the batter. How many times have you read a recipe that says do not overmix the batter? Batter might be lumpy. Take heed to that. Old school buttermilk. I like an old school buttermilk too. Blueberry, but our season is so short here. But blueberries freeze so well. Ashley, freeze those bad boys. Raspberry. Oh, we have a raspberry and white chocolate pancake recipe that's also buttermilk. So you and Susan could probably get on that together. So you could also put raspberries in these, to be honest with you. Lemon raspberry would be an awesome flavor combination. So back to mixing these. I want the leaveners, which is the baking powder and the baking soda, and the salt to evenly distribute throughout the flour. And if you're using flour, if you're using flour and you over mix it, it activates the gluten and it makes it longer and stretchier, which gives the texture, the appearance in your mouth of being chewy. And that's one of the reasons people don't get fluffy pancakes, is that they over mix the batter. So if you can do the dry ingredients before they're incorporated with the wet, it prevents you from over mixing it and makes sure the leaveners and the salt are evenly distributed through the entire batter. So now I'm going to do the wet ingredients in a different bowl, and I'm going to do the egg first, and I'm going to beat the egg before I add the rest of the ingredients. Again, this is to prevent overmixing, because when I add everything in, if I've got to also beat the egg while it's in the rest of the ingredients, I'm really going to struggle, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to struggle. So probably not the best here, but I've got a spatula and I am going to mix this egg. Yes, it's pancake day. I have a whole list of pancakes to make for the blog. Let me tell you, I've got Nutella pancakes. I've got Captain Crunch pancakes. There is like a sourdough pancakes I'm looking to make. I need to get a sourdough starter though, because I don't have one. Let me turn this down a little bit. Remember that this Dutch honey is dairy and sugar, so it has the tendency to boil over super fast. Did I just turn this up instead of down? I think I did. It has the tendency to boil over super fast if you're not paying attention to it. So I just turned this down quite a bit, but it does need to evaporate out some of the water. And since I used half and half instead of whole cream, mine has quite a bit more water content than it usually would. It's a little bit more liquidy. So I definitely need it to reduce and let that sugar caramelize. Okay, I've got my egg up and running. Now I need 1.5 cups of milk, which is going to be about 3/4 cup of milk. I'm going to use my 1 cup measuring cup over here. I put away all my liquid measuring cups when I packed up the kitchen. Silly me. Like, what will I be doing? I need those for baking. I needed them. I should have put them away. Yes, small lumps are good in pancake batters and muffins. They're perfectly fine. And now we need a little bit more vanilla. So I ran out of my regular vanilla extract. The only thing that I had was an imitation clear. So clear vanilla is not real vanilla. Real vanilla is always going to be brown. But you can get an imitation clear. This was a little crusty. If you're going to be making something where you want the vanilla flavor, but you want it to be a fluffy, beautiful white, that's the only reason you want to use this. Or if you didn't get any at the store and it is your backup, which is where we are today, and that is okay. No one is going to get mad at you. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is our lemon. I, for this recipe, generally use lemon and lemon zest. Lemon juice, always fresh, never bottled. You know how I feel about bottled lemons. I have some around just for emergencies, but fresh lemons. The moment a lemon is juiced, it starts to lose that fresh citrus flavor. If you want the full maximum lemon flavor, you need fresh juice. So anything that's in a bottle is muted. It's a little bit bland. You might need more of it to achieve the same lemon flavor. And lemon zest doesn't have that bittery, sour flavor that lemon juice does. And when you want both of those things, like a full rounded lemon flavor, you want to use both. The zest is going to be a cleaner, full, bright flavor, while the juice is going to be a little bit more sour and better and bitter. This is going to be the acid that's in our pancakes here. Acid is always a good thing. Vinegars, citrus, yogurt is an acid. All of those things are acid. Now, I packed my zester, so I do not have any zest today. I'm going to have to go full juice. So I'm going to add just a little bit more than I usually would because of the fact that I want to make sure that it does have lemony flavor. I could also honestly add some lemon to my Dutch honey over here. I'm going to show you too how to make that into a blueberry Dutch honey because that makes it even more amazing. Okay, we've got our lemon juice in there, and next comes our ricotta cheese. So usually I would put, how much ricotta cheese? 1.5. So we're going to do 3/4 cup of ricotta cheese today. I'm probably going to need to get out my big whisk here. I'm eyeballing this, guys. The ricotta cheese, it's fine. It'll all be fine. All be fine. Okay, so now I'm going to blend this in. I'm going to do this very carefully because I don't want pancake batter all over my fake kitchen here. Also, don't use your stand mixer or an electric mixer when you're making something like this. Anything that doesn't want to be over mixed. It is so easy to turn your stand mixer on, let it go, and then forget about it. And that's the problem. Then it's easily over mixed, and you don't want to do that. We want to have a subtle mixture here. So I think I got, hold on. I think I got a lemon seed in my batter. I'm going to get that out now before it's too late and I end up with a crunch in my pancakes. Okay. So we're blending together all of the wet ingredients first, and then we are going to add the dry ingredients, and I'm not even going to slowly incorporate them. I am going to incorporate them all at one time because, again, I want to prevent over mixing. And if I incorporate them in a slow manner, it might be a little bit easier, but ultimately I'm going to end up mixing them longer, and we don't want that. Okay. Remember to give us some likes, give us some hearts, show us that you're there, comment, let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you're planning on doing for Mother's Day. I'd love to hear what your plans are for Mother's Day. Okay, come over here and stir our Dutch honey. It's coming together really nicely. I wish I had that overhead camera. I'm sorry, I do not. Okay, stirring, stirring, stirring. I am going to make this into a blueberry Dutch honey. So I'm going to add some fresh blueberries. You could do this towards the end. You wanted a little bit of time for the blueberries to pop open, let out their natural flavors, and also there's a couple handfuls in there. Awesome. And also break down a bit so that it gets a natural blue hue on it. Thank you. I'm getting some hearts on Instagram. Woohoo. What about my Facebook people? I know you're there. Tell me what you guys are doing today. Tell me what's on your plan for today while this cooks, and maybe what's on your menu. What are you having for dinner tonight? Since we're talking about breakfast, let me check this here. I'm gonna increase my heat a little bit. I might not get to the point where those blueberries are popping by the time we get done, but we'll see. I have a little bit of ricotta cheese there. Put that down. Okay, we're adding our dry ingredients now. All at once, because we don't want to overmix. Okay, now again, to prevent overmixing, I'm not using a spatula. I'm not using a whisk. I'm going to use a spatula, and I'm going to fold it in like so, because I don't want to overmix it. And again, a whisk, think about it. This, and this. It over agitates it. Oh, Laura, you made Dutch honey yesterday? We all love Aunt Pam, guys. This comes from our Aunt Pam, which is actually Laurel's grandmother, my aunt. We're making these with lemon, blueberry, ricotta pancakes, Laurel, which I'm sure you'd enjoy. Okay, our Dutch honey is up, boiling a little bit. Let's turn it down. It is so hard to cook on one of these butane stoves without just constantly monitoring the heat and the flame. Okay, my batter is ready. It is a little bit lumpy, but everything, I'm going to show you, everything is kind of dry, or wet, sorry, opposite day, right? And it's pretty thick. You can see this. It's lumpy, it's thick. It's not a liquidy batter because it has that ricotta cheese in it to give it some volume and body. And then the last thing we're going to do is add the blueberries. I wait until the last to do this. And sometimes in some pancake recipes, not this one, like my raspberry one, you actually don't even want to add the fruit to the batter. If you do that, all the fruit sinks to the bottom. So instead, I wait and I plop my mix-ins onto the actual pancakes while it's on the griddle instead of putting it in the batter. However, this pancake batter is so thick because of that ricotta cheese, I don't have that problem and I don't need to worry about it. I'm going to get out my griddle. Hold on. This is up over the computer screen and around. Okay, so this is my electric griddle. I know some folks are like, screw it, I'm just going to do it in a pan. Well, let me tell you, you can just do it in a frying pan, but you're going to be there making pancakes until the end of time if you just do it in a frying pan. Or you're going to need 3 or 4 frying pans going at the same time. Most people don't realize this, but frying pans or stoves, my blueberries are starting to pop, and there's like a swirl of blue going around the Dutch honey. I love it. Oh, it's going to be so good. Ooh, cranberry orange biscotti. That sounds really, really good too. This make me think of like summer. Pasta's good too, Deborah. I might have pasta. No, we're not having pasta tonight. We're having air fryer salmon tonight. Wait until this heats up. Okay, so back to your stove. If you're using 3 or 4 different frying pans to make pancakes, most people don't realize this, but each burner on your stove has a different heat level. Some of them are power burners. Even though they're all on medium, the medium on a power burner is like the high on a regular burner. So it can be really hard to regulate the heat. The other thing people do is they're like, ew, I don't want to use oil when I'm making pancakes for nonstick. Well, and they use butter. Butter burns. Butter has a much lower smoke point than um, than oils do, and then you end up with burnt pancakes. And you don't want that either. The oils start to brown, and then you've got to wipe out the pan and the dish every single time you switch pancakes. You're just asking for a lot of trouble if that's what you're doing. So investing, and it's a small investment. I mean, we're talking like 20, 25 bucks in an electric griddle. If you like making anything on a griddle, and it's not just for pancakes, waiting for this to heat up. This is also for making smash burgers. If you like a good smash burger, does the same thing. If you want to make hibachi, at-home hibachi, we do that with my kids. We go flip a shrimp. I can even do the volcano choo-choo train with that lights up with fire on this bad boy. You can saute vegetables. Anything that you do on a flat stone grill outside, like everybody's all the rage is these flat grills, you can do on this type of griddle, and you can do it a lot faster. They're easy to clean. Quesadillas, yes. And this is also nonstick. I'm still going to add a little bit of spray to it because we all know even stuff that is nonstick sometimes has a tendency to stick. But the other good thing about this, I have precision control over the temperature. The temperature here, I know that my oils burn point is 350. So I'm going to keep this just a smidge. Yes, hamburger buns too. Just a smidge under 350. So it's hot enough to make the pancake cook, but also not hot enough for my oil to burn. So I don't have to do different rounds. They also heat up super fast. This thing is almost ready to go. I'm going to use a spray, cooking spray. This one's canola oil. You can use vegetable oil, anything you want. Give it a good spray. Let the oil heat too before you put the pancake on, or else it doesn't do the same thing. But since this bad boy is pretty hot already, it's not going to take very long. Okay. So now we're going to scoop on our pancakes. So the next thing that people do when making pancakes is they make their pancakes too darn big, man. They want like these gorgeous, huge, ginormous pancakes, but then they can't flip them. And that's really where the problem comes in. So I don't make mine past, silver dollars are probably what I do with my kids, but because also then they can handheld them, and they like pancake dip. They like to dip their pancakes into syrup instead of drenching them and eating them with a fork and a knife like I do. I like a dainty fork and knife pancake here. I am using a 1/3 cup scoop, and my pancakes are probably 5 or 6 inches thick. Just making sure I get some blueberries in there. You want to spread them out because you don't ever, ever, ever want to take your spatula and flatten them. You never want to do that on a hamburger or on a pancake. When you do that, bad things happen. On a pancake, you're pushing out all of the air that's on the inside. The air is what creates the fluff. If you don't have air, you don't have fluff. So one of these skillets, you also want to make sure that you use a plastic spatula as opposed to a metal one. Any nonstick surface is going to scratch and scrape, and the nonstick is going to come off if you're using metal. Check on my syrup over here. My blueberries are a poppin', which is always good. Poppin' blueberries. It's not going to be perfectly blue by the time we get done here, but it's going to be getting there. This I probably, with the fruit in it, let it simmer for about 30 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes. So we're not going to get the full effect, but we'll get close. We'll get close. So now we're just going to wait for our pancakes to start to look like they're ready for a flip. The first side takes longer than the second side. What we're looking for, the indicator that they're getting ready to flip, the first thing we're going to see is bubbles start to form around the edges of your pancake. That's the first indicator that they're almost ready. The second indicator is little air bubbles popping up through the center of the pancakes. That's the second indicator, and I don't have either of those indicators quite yet. I'm starting to see a little bit of fizzles, and of course I'll pop it over and check to see if it's browned. I like mine to be more of a lightly brown, like really lightly brown pancake. I don't want mine to be too overcooked. But pancakes are funny. They're like eggs. Some people like them over easy, some people like them sunny side up. Everybody has a different liking. But I've also never been asked at a restaurant, how do you like your pancakes cooked, babe? So usually I have to tell them that I want them to be a little bit more on the doughy side. I like everything a little bit more doughy, to be honest with you, than overcooked, well browned, and crunchy. I like a crunch on my waffle, but I want my pancakes to be bread, right? Okay. These are coming along. So is our syrup. Let's make sure our burner's still on. I was doing a live a few weeks ago and nothing was happening on the burner. Nothing was happening. Nothing was happening. I couldn't figure out why. Well, I just turned it down so low that the flame was gone. And we'd been sitting there talking about fun things, but not about what we were actually making for a good long time. So I'm trying to make sure that doesn't happen again today. But we'll have our kitchen back soon. I might even be able to do our live next week from the new kitchen, at least one angle of it. We're waiting for our, oh, Susan, you made epic pancakes. I'm so like off topic. What kind of pancakes were they? Buttermilk? Um, we're waiting for our range. So our range is missing one part because we're out in the country and we have propane instead of natural gas. So we're waiting for one part on our range that converts the natural gas to propane. And it originally was supposed to be delivered to me on February 1st. Then it got moved to April 1st. And then April 1st, April Fool's Day, they emailed me and said, this part isn't going to be ready until like mid-June, which means you might not actually get your range until the 1st of July. So we're going to be doing makeshift kitchen stuff for a while until we get full capacity in our kitchen here. Okay, these still aren't coming together. What is going on here? Oh, I know what I did. I'm over here telling you guys about the burner and how I misjudged the burner flame. The pancake griddle, there's like a little smudge on it, and I thought that was the indicator for the temperature. I had it turned to warm instead of a little bit below 350. So it feels hot to my hand, but it was not nearly hot enough to make a pancake. So I guess that's why we call this the Savory Experiments Kitchen, right? Real life. We're doing stuff in real life, just regular butter and syrup. Tell me, Grammy, that you made real maple syrup and you didn't use the other stuff. Because my husband introduced my kids to like fake syrup, which I call it fake syrup. It's just maple flavored water. And now those little butts, they prefer that to real maple syrup. Like you ruined my children. Not really. We all know that's a joke. But I am a huge advocate of a real maple syrup. Okay, my pancakes are going now, guys. Now that I realize that I just didn't have the temperature on while I'm telling you stories about my burner, my pancakes are starting to move along a little bit faster. I don't know if you guys can hear the sizzle or not. I am. I'm human. My mother, my little girl tells me that, Vivian, who you guys know, she's 3.5. In fact, we might actually move lives to Sunday afternoons. And if that's the case, she'll be doing them with me. I know everybody loves Viv. No fake syrup. Good job, Susan. She, the other day, told me, Mom, everybody makes mistakes. It's okay if you make mistakes. So I'm sure that that is something they've talked about in school, but it was just so sweet coming from her. And sometimes you need you need to hear it from little babies. You need to hear it. Puts everything in perspective. This has turned into a beautiful blue syrup. I don't want to tilt it too much, but I don't know if you can see that, how blue it is in there. You'll see it when we put it on our pancakes. I've actually turned off the heat so that it can get going. Okay, so these are starting to brown up now that I've actually turned on the burner. And they're actually spreading out a little bit more than I would have liked them. If it's a nice hot burner, you should hear the sizzle right when it turns on, and that's great. And then they keep their shape and they stop spreading. Since mine sat on there for a little while, they're a little bit larger than I would generally make them. But I'm starting to see those air bubbles coming up from the edges, which means the air bubbles in the center are not far behind. Let me check. Oh, Susan, I'm a little bit browner than I'd like to be. A little bit more browned, but we're still going to make a good pancake. I also love these blueberries. This one's good. This one over here on the left. When blueberries hit the griddle and they pop open and then they start to caramelize, and you don't even need any syrup. They're just so sweet all on their own. So again, the first side is going to take the longest. The second side takes a little bit less time, and it takes a really long time if you forget to turn on your griddle, like I did. That's a no-no. Do not do that. I'm going to get some of this stuff out of the way so that we can plate them and you can see them after they come off the griddle. My water. Important to stay hydrated, my friends. Important to stay hydrated. Okay. They're coming along. So I'm only going to make one batch of pancakes today, but if you are making more batches of pancakes, what I would tell you to do is put these on a wire rack in a warm oven to keep them warm. If you're going to make like a whole plate of them, do not put them directly onto a paper towel or directly onto a baking sheet. The wire rack allows air to circulate around it. If you put them right on top of each other like this, the bottom part of it starts to steam. And that makes them soggy. And you don't want a soggy pancake after you've gone to all this work to make the perfect pancake. So always put them on a wire rack, let the air circulate around them. And that is the trick to making sure that you don't have a soggy pancake. Okay, making space, making space. I'm gonna start needing like a camera crew for these guys so that they can just follow me and I can use all of my kitchen instead of a little bit of my kitchen. Okay, got my paper plate because of our whole kitchen situation here. Okay, I'm gonna pile these on. Ooh, hot, hot, paper plates, hot. And then I am going to take this lovely syrup, I hope you can see it, and put it right on top. Look at that, it's like purple. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, it looks so good. And all these blueberries, they shrunk right on up. Okay, it's gonna be super hot. Actually, I'm gonna double this so that I don't burn myself. Here we go, guys. Blueberry waffles with lemon and homemade blueberry syrup. These are amazing. They're super hot. I'm gonna try and take a bite. I know I'm gonna burn my mouth. I need something to bite them with. Hold on. I need a fork. We're also using plastic silverware. I could totally get behind not doing dishes anymore, but man, a lot of trash we're creating, and I do not like that. Okay, these are like steaming hot. We're gonna blow on it. Now coffee, yes. I'm in need of coffee today. I'm having a case of the Mondays. Mm, that ricotta cheese really makes it. If you've never had a ricotta cheese pancake, you are missing out on life. It is rich, but it is still light and fluffy. It melts in your mouth. I can't believe I'm eating these for lunch. It's like dessert. Mm. So if you make these, they also freeze well. Just make sure that they are fully 100% cooled before you put them in a plastic bag and freeze them. The Dutch honey also freezes. I like to freeze it in smaller containers so that I can take it out and just use it for ice cream and stuff along the way, or for pancakes, or for biscuits, or for anything. If you make a poke cake, Dutch honey is also amazing on poke cake. Okay, I'm going to stop letting you guys just sit here and watch me eat now. I hope you enjoyed today. We had our blueberry lemon ricotta pancakes and homemade Dutch honey syrup with fresh blueberries. It is perfect for Mother's Day brunch or any other brunch or Sunday or Monday lunch like I'm going to have. So, from my kitchen to yours, we'll see you guys next time. Have a great week. If we can get our live to stop here. There we go. Okay.